Hello class 10 students. Today's video is on the poem The Trees. Let's look at the summary first, then the mind map, and then in brief what the four stanzas are about. Before watching today's video, please subscribe to the channel so that you get updated when a new video is uploaded. In the poem The Trees, the poetess has used trees as a metaphor for men, particularly the struggling women. Nature itself is represented by trees and forests in the poem. Man's foolishness and atrocious attempts to exploit, subdue, tame, and control nature have led to disastrous results like deforestation. Forests have become empty. The futile attempt of humans to put trees and forests in the artificial glass houses fails miserably. The trees, their roots, leaves, twigs, and boughs wage a long and hard struggle to come out of the artificial barriers. Ultimately, the trees and forests reach where they should be. The victorious march of the trees to the forest tells the saga of nature's victory over the onslaughts of man. The liberation of the crushed and the women is based on the same theme. In a male-dominated society, women are struggling to come out of the clutches of men to gain freedom. It is hoped that, like the trees in the poem, they will be liberated in the end. Nature, habitat, deforestation, freedom, rights, afforestation, man versus nature, suppression or oppression are the themes we find in the poem The Trees. The settings of the poem The Trees are nature, forest, and the house of the poet. The message conveyed in the poem The Trees is every living being or thing has freedom and equal rights that ought not to be taken away owing to man's arrogance. The central idea of the poem The Trees is the confined nature, that is, within man's four walls, struggles to break the artificial barriers to free themselves from human bondage like humans do. The characters in the poem The Trees are nature or trees, humans, in this case men and women separately or together depending on the context. Let's look at the character traits. Let's see the character traits of nature or trees first. They are giving, victim, rebellious, tamed or controlled, empty, miserable, victorious, liberated, and peaceful. The character traits of humans are foolish, atrocious, controlling, greedy, arrogant, disastrous, and exploiting. We see a problem in the poem. In the absence of trees in the forest, the ecological balance is disturbed. The trees have been uprooted and kept in the modern artificial glass houses for various reasons. The solution to the problem is, as nature cannot be subdued for long, the trees struggle for their freedom only to move towards their natural habitat, that is the forest, and in an attempt to do so, they emerge victorious. The solution to the problem of deforestation lies in man's hand in order to live in harmony with nature. There are some values highlighted in the poem The Trees. Trees are the key to essential notions of truth, beauty, home, belonging, and happiness. As freedom is valuable to humans, we are in a better position to understand the need to free the trees from our clutches for a harmonious future. Trees, it could be women, are essential for the survival of humanity, as both trees and women sustain the environment and generations, and this sole reason is enough to enable them to grow freely without any restrictions. Now let's look at the poetic devices used in the poem The Trees. First is simile, and the two examples are Trees are compared to newly discharged patients. And the second one is moon is compared to a mirror. The second poetic device is personification. Trees and their parts have been personified throughout the poem. And the second example of personification is sun has been personified in sun bury its feet. The third poetic device is imagery. Now there are 5 examples. First is visual. Trees movement into the forest. The second is tactile. Small twigs stiff with exertion. The third is visual again. The night is fresh, the whole moon shines. The fourth is olfactory. Smell of leaves and lichen. And the fifth one is auditory. The next literary device is metaphor. Movement of trees into the forest corresponding to women's freedom from confinements. The next poetic device is alliteration and it has 3 examples. First one is long letters LL. Sky still SS, leaves and lichen LL. The next poetic device is enjambment. As you can see on the screen, the example is given. The next poetic device is anaphora. 4th and 5th lines of stanza 1 start with the word no. And the last poetic device is rhyme scheme. There is no rhyme scheme seen in the poem The Trees, as the whole poem is written in free verse. There are 4 stanzas in the poem The Trees. What we see in the first stanza is, even the scorching rays of the sun are craving for some shade to cool themselves, as if, they have feet like men. So you can see personification here. Now what we see in the second stanza is the newly discharged, surprised patients running fast to the hospital door to go out. What we see in the third stanza is the smell of leaves and lichen is reaching the room like a voice. What we see in the fourth stanza is glass is breaking as the trees are forcing to come out of it. The trees are stumbling forward victoriously towards the forest.